Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again. As you know, today we will be discussing our previous discussion, and we will continue talking about the problems of the estimation. There are many problems everywhere in Pakistan, and we are not talking about the problems of Pakistan, but we are talking about the problem of our estimation. Whenever we make or anyone make estimation, he finds himself trapped in many of the problem. So first of all, our issue was to estimate. Then our issue is nowadays to see whether our model and results are reliable or not. So we will discuss in this semester 4 problems of the estimation. If you remember, we started from the very first problem, that was the multicollinearity. Don't worry, I am not going to give you the detail. Then we talked about the heteroscedasticity, that is also very major and the fundamental problem of the regression analysis. After this, the discussion entered into the regime of autocorrelation, where previously we closed our discussion. So I would like to give you a small and very brief summary of the previous lecture, that is about the autocorrelation. I am dead sure that you have got the idea that what is the autocorrelation, what are its consequences, and what are the remedial measures. So very simple, the autocorrelation, we assume that there is no correlation between the error terms. So if this is the situation, then our estimates becomes non-below. They are linear, they are unbiased, but unfortunately they are now not best, which means that their variance are no more minimum as compared to the competitors. After this, we talked about the detection method, and there was a very celebrated test that is called the Durbin-Watson statistics. That was the D statistic we call, and you remember that if the D statistics is equal to 2 or round about 2, we say that there is no multicollinearity. But as we converge towards the 0, we say there is a positive correlation, and as our D statistics reaches the 4, we say that there is negative correlation. Then there were some of the method, and the major remedial measure was that the use of the generalized least square method. So I remember in the last 5 or 7 minutes, I also talked about the fourth and the final problem that we will discuss in this course was the specification bias. So I will continue this discussion, and I hope and I think that in this and after this lecture, I would like to complete this discussion so that we can go into another regime that is called the dummy variable. So starting a bit formally, I would like to say that what we are going to discuss, and we will discuss what is the criteria to choose a good model. We will just put a bird's eye view on this, because I remember that we talked about this. Types of specification bias. As you know, there are many types of specification bias. How our model may be misspecified, whether there is more variable as than usuality as necessity, whether there are less number of variable, and whether the form of the model is not correct, or if there is any other problem. And after this, we will be talking about test of specification bias, and we will not be talking about what are the remedial measure, because as we will be talking about the specification bias, at the same time we will be talking about that how we can get rid of this problem if it exists into the data. So if you remember, this was the last slide that appeared on your previous lecture, so I am going very quickly that what is the criteria. Everything has a criteria. When we go and we select, we have some criteria, otherwise we can't make any decision. So what is the good and the best criteria that can help us in choosing a good model? The first was the be data admissible. Our results should be data admissible, and they should be logically apprehendable. There should be not some dream type forecasting, or you can say the result. So if the results, if your model gives the results that are logical, you may depend this model. Be consistent with the theory. This is the most critical, fundamental, core and nucleus thing that I would like to repeat again and again. I never get tired of repeating this, that the most important is the theory. Statistical is only a tool. These software and everything is tool, but the major role is of the theory, and your result should be according to the theory. I am not going to explain it, what is this and all. And the third is have weakly exogenous regressor. What this means, it is an assumption of the classical linear regression model that the regressor must be uncorrelated with the error term. We will keep maintaining this assumption. Exhibit parameter constancy. Parameter should be consistent. As I say, that you are only consistent when you are working on continuous basis, and every time you prove to be a good researcher or a good student. The consistency means that as the sample size becomes larger and larger, our parameter converge towards the true parameter. So this should be the case, that in the small sample there may be small inconsistency, but as the sample size becomes larger and larger, there should be consistency in the parameters. Exhibit data coherency, that is you can say an indirect test of the residual, because you know the error term, every time we are talking about the error term, our whole quantitative analysis, or you can say this is about the error term. If error term we can control and arrest the problem of the error term, I assure you that you are a good researcher and analyst, because every time error term will be making the problem. So we say that when we plot the residual after estimating our model, they should show a random behavior, or you can say there should be no trend in this. And the last is the B encompassing, that your model should include all the good models. In other way, I would like to say that the properties of all the good models that can explain this phenomena should be included into your model. Otherwise, I can say that there should be no improvement on your model. No person should come with that this model is better than your model. Specification bias. Now we will start that what is meant by the specification bias and how they occur, how we detect them, and what are the remedial measures. Assume that the correct model is such kind of thing. If you see at this is the, if you can see, this is the correct model. Before starting the specification bias, we should start from something base, and we assume that this was our correct model. So what is this? Here Y is production, Y is the total cost, and Xi is the output. And you know the relationship between the cost and the output. This is the cost theory, that as the output increases, the cost also increases. Now there are different theories that in which proportion cost increases or not. We are not interested at this stage in this. The second is the square of the same variable. The square of the same variable Xi, that is the output. Here it is square, which means that now you have your model is non-linear in the variable, and we say that this is the X3, and you think that your cost is not explained by only linear relationship, that is Xi, but you think that it is explainable by X2 as Xi square as well as Xi cube. It is up to you. It is up to you can say the your perception, and this is this may be true. So U1i, you will be looking that there is some change in the notation of U1i. This changes nothing, but as you will see, we will be using different model, and every time there will be Ui, we will be calling the first one U1i, U2i, and we will keep on doing this. So I would like to write this model here again so that you could understand it. This is now the polynomial model, and this is yi is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2 xi plus beta 3 xi square plus beta 4 xi cube plus u1 t. U1t, t means time, and I think here should be the yt, because now we are talking about the time. So this was the situation U1I. So I would stick to the previous methodology as I have showed on the slide. So this is I starting from 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the n numbers. So this was our first model, and we assumed this is total based on the assumption that this is the true model. This is but due to any reason. Most of the time आपने कहा कि जी बहुत ज़्यादा वेरिएबल हैं, so you choose this model. So look at this, you dropped one of the variable and you can see you have dropped this variable in the next model. So I would like to drop this model, and this is again yi is equal to alpha 1. Now I am changing the notation. There is no logic, no reason behind this. The only logic is that you are not confused with the similar terminology. Beta 1 is also a parameter and we will estimate it. Alpha 1 is also a parameter and we will estimate it. So this is the alpha 1 plus alpha 2 xi plus alpha 3 xi square. So I say, and plus u2i. So I say that there was a person who said that no, this is the not true model. He estimated this model. So what we will call that he has dropped some of the variable. I am not saying that whether it was a necessary variable he dropped or not. Whatever the reason was, he was lazy, he doesn't know the theory, whatever the reason, I am not interested in the reason. Another researchers are have different types and taste, and we can't restrict their taste. Another researcher came and he said no, he also extended the model rather than contracting the model as the previous researcher did. He came with some gigantic task. So I can call it that this was a B person, and what he did, he said yi is equal to lambda 1 plus lambda 2, let me see the notation, yes, lambda 1, lambda 2 xi plus lambda 3 xi square plus lambda 4 xi cube plus lambda 5 xi power 4 plus u3i. So look at this researcher, he is also right, he may be right that he has included one more variable. This was the true model, I would like to write it true model, and look at this, a person just skipped one of the variable, and this person add one more variable into the true model, and this is subtract 1 from the true model. So what was this? This is, we will see that what was this situation. Another uses the model. The person came and he used the model and he said no, this is C person, and he said that ln yi is equal to, you can say that gamma 1 plus gamma 2 xi plus gamma 3 xi cube xi square plus gamma 4 xi cube. So he did nothing but he changed, look at this, rather than taking yi in simple, he took it in the log form, and you know that when there is the change of the functional form, there are problem. This was the C person, and there is no lack of person. You are many students, and look at this. The above was the true model. 3 model came as alternate, and I am writing the last one. That is yi star. Now I am using the yi star. yi star is equal to beta 1 star plus beta 2 star xi plus beta 3 xi square, and everything is star, plus beta 4 xi cube plus u5i, and we skipped here u4i. So now this is the sum of the specification bias, and you will be thinking that what is the I star? This is the measurement error. This model is based on the measurement error. I will say that the person used proxies for the real variables. So this was the situation. Now we will call all these specification bias some specific name, and we will go further. If you look at this, now I have explained, here you can see that the one of the variable is skipped. This is omission of a necessary variable. Why I am calling the necessary? Because I am supposing that this model was true model. So that's why I am calling that the variable that are there, they are necessary, and this person has excluded, and this is called the omission of a very important variable. If you look at here, the person added a new variable that is something plus to the true variable, and you can say that this is inclusion of unnecessary or irrelevant. You can see these two words, irrelevant as well as unnecessary. What this means, this because we have set the criteria base mark, and we know what was the true model. So what we are saying that this xi cube quadratic is now an unnecessary and irrelevant variable. Look at this, where he changed the functional form L and Y. You can say this is wrong functional form, because our true model, if you see that our dependent variable should be in simple form, because in this supposed situation we have done this, and you can see here this is called the error of measurement. So this star means that the proxy for the variable. So if you see, we have confront with 4 types of the specification bias. If you look at this, first is the omission of a relevant variable. Now I need not to go back and see that what is the situation. This is omission of a relevant variable. The other could be the inclusion of an irrelevant variable. This was the first one. This is the second one. And the third we talked about, in which we said that this is the L and YI. This should be adopting the wrong functional form, and at the last you come to know that this was the error of measurement. So at this stage we have come across 4 specification bias. All are called the specification bias. All have their consequences and negative effect. But here we are just concentrating on 4. The first is exclusion of a necessary variable. The second is inclusion of unnecessary variable. The third is adopting the wrong functional form, and the last is the error of measurement. Consequences of model specification error. Now you should concentrate on the previous 4, and we will see that what are the consequences. If we do not bother about this, what we have to see the consequences. Now what is our question? Whatever the source of specification error, as you can see, what are their consequences? हमें इससे कोई गर्ज नहीं कि specification bias कहाँ से आई. We are interested that what are the consequences, because ultimately we have to defend, we have to face the consequences of the problem. For simplicity, we will concentrating on 3 variable model. This is just for the simplicity. You can go up to k variable model. K means 1, 2, 3 up to k. And now overfitting a model and underfitting a model. Now I have given a name that are special. And what is this overfitting a model? This is inclusion of a unnecessary variable into the model. This is called the overfitting of the model, that you know the model, but unfortunately due to any reason a variable that was unnecessary that was included into the model. This is underfitting, and I think on the basis of my previous On the basis of my previous, you can say, the discussion, you can see that this is the exclusion, or you can say the omission, exclusion or omission of a necessary variable. So now, rather than calling omission of a variable or exclusion of a variable, I will be talking about overfitting of the model or underfitting of the model. Underfitting of the model, there is an example that if you remember, our true model was that yi is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2 xi plus beta 3 xi square plus beta 4 xi cube plus u1 I. I think you remember this, but look at this. Suppose this is the true model, and but for any reason we fit the model this one. Now, rather than, as we assumed here, I assumed 4 variable, so you should disregard this. We are talking about these variable, that is, you can say 3 variable, 1, 2 and 3 variable. We suppose that this was the true variable. It is our supposition, it is our assumption, and if someone asks that how we come to know that this is the true model, we will say that this is assumption. You can assume. If you have objection, you can take 4 variable and you can say that this is the true variable. A person will come with only 2 variable and he insists that this is true variable. No one is going to object, because we can suppose each and everything. The consequences of, look at this now, omitting variable x3. Now we are concentrating on underfitting of the model. First we are, look at this, there were 3 variable model, and this is the one, and now we are going to see the consequences of omitting variable x3 are. If the left out model, now these are the consequences. If the left out or omitted variable x3 is correlated with the included variable x2. Now look at this. आपने x3 निकाल दिया जी. We suppose that if x2 and x3 are correlated, so we are talking about the consequences of the underfitting of the model. This should be remembered, because when we will be talking about the overfitting of the model, then there will be, you will be see the problem, maybe some different problem. If the left out or omitted variable x3 is correlated with the included variable x2, then alpha hat and alpha 2 hat. Now look at this. The beta 1 and beta 2 and beta 3 are true parameters. क्यों हैं जी ये true parameters? Because we assume that this is the true model. But what is this? What are the consequences of this? Look at this. If the left out or the omitted variable x3 is correlated with the included x2, and alpha 1 hat and alpha 2 hat are biased. Now they have become biased as well as inconsistent. Problem aa gaya ji. So what this means, the exclusion of a variable is very, very dangerous. Exclusion of a necessary variable is very, very dangerous, because your estimates, if now I am working under 2 assumptions. I am taking the first assumption that if you excluded a variable that was correlated, if you see that we say that x2 and x3 are correlated, what will happen? Our alpha 1 hat and alpha 2 hat are biased as well as inconsistent. That is, if I would like to write it in notation form, what is this? This is that expected value of alpha 1 hat, and it should be equal to beta 1. It is if it is unbiased, but unfortunately now it is not equal to beta 1 hat. Beta 1, that is the true parameter. And similarly, the expected value of alpha 2 hat that you have estimated is not equal to beta 2. The bias does not. This is very, you can say, the alarming situation here, that the bias does not disappear as the sample size gets larger. we are in the habit and we still hold our ground. We are not refuting our claim that when there is a large number of sample, many of the problem are automatically are solved. That's why every person is asking you about that. What is the number of, you can say, the observation in your model? If it is n of large, he will be saying that there is some internal problem, there is no problem due to the sample size. But if this is the situation that your two model, you omitted some of the necessary variable, everything is becoming biased, and you can say that this problem will not be removed even if you go to the large number, if you increase your data up to a certain level. So even if x2 and x3 are not correlated, now I am going against that assumption. बात वही है कि एक गलती से हमने x3 वेरिएबल निकाल दिया. Now we are taking the first was that if it is correlated with the previous one, then everything is biased. Now I say if x2 and x3 are uncorrelated, alpha hat is biased, it is still biased. Your intercept parameter is still biased. Look at this, this is still biased. Now hat will become, because now you have estimated it. Alpha hat is, it is still, you can say that this is biased, although alpha 2 has not unbiased. One scenario has cleared. Situation has changed, but not as much as it should be. What this means, if the x2 and x3 are not correlated, what we will say that the alpha 2 hat, the slope, that is the intercept, this is still unbiased. What this means, this is the situation that expected value of alpha 1 hat is not equal to 2 beta. And although ये मसला आपका हल होगा, this problem is being solved, and this has become, you can say, the unbiased now, and I can write it that the expected value of alpha 2 hat is now equal to beta 2. Now it is equal to true parameter. The third problem could be the disturbance variance sigma square is incorrectly estimated. Whatever we do, this is the sigma square. This is, as you know, we will be estimating it from, you can say, the sigma hat square, as it is not directly observable. I am not going to the previous discussion here. So I will say that this is incorrectly estimated, not correctly estimated. And the fourth one, now rather than going to fourth, you should be, I think something will be running in your brain. Then when the this variance are we cannot measure precisely, what happens? Conventionally measured variance of alpha 2 is biased estimator of the variance of the true estimator. So what is this? Now not only the variance of alpha 2 hat, look at here, the problem was solved in case of alpha 2 hat, it became unbiased. लेकिन अभी भी मसला हल नहीं हुआ. The conventionally measured variance of alpha 2 hat is a biased estimator of the variance of beta 2 hat, because what we say that the variance of alpha 2 hat should be equal to variance of beta 2, because now it is unbiased, but it is still, we are saying that this is not the case, and it is not the unbiased estimator, but this is the biased estimator. The consequences continues. 4 consequences we have confronted by now. In consequence, the usual confidence interval. Now this is the issue. What will happen that if you are unable to measure the variances in not a precise way, and what will happen? The confidence interval and hypothesis testing procedures are likely to give you misleading conclusion. For example, I would, if you go, what is this? This was your confidence interval. This was your acceptance region, this one, that is within the 2 vertical line. What happened? You could not estimate your variance in a proper way. This became widened. Now look at you. Now the probability of acceptance of the null hypothesis has greater. And what is the null hypothesis? Most of the time we say that beta 1 or beta 2 they are equal to 0. So we are never concerned about this. We think that this is the situation, and every time we are talking about this. The sixth problem in this situation is that the forecast based on the incorrect model and the forecast confidence intervals will be unreliable. The sixth point in this situation is that forecast based on the incorrect model, as I have said, now I am sure that now you are aware of overfitting and underfitting of the model. You can take it as that exclusion of the variable, that is the underfitting, and inclusion of some of the unnecessary variable, that is the overfitting. So the sixth consequence is that we have to face when we omit a very important variable. Keep in mind, I am using the word necessary and important. If we exclude some unnecessary variable, this is not the underfitting of the model. It is only becomes underfitting when the inclusion, the variable, is unnecessary. So what is this? The forecast based on the incorrect model and the forecast confidence interval will be unreliable. I can guess that now you are well aware of the hypothesis testing, and you know that what happens when your betas becomes biased. Beta means your coefficient of regression becomes biased. So what is the conclusion from here? That we have seen up to now, we have seen that what are the, you can say, the repercussions, what are the heinous consequences that a researcher has to face if he or she excludes some of the very important variable from the model. The conclusion is clear that once a model is formulated on the basis of the relevant theory, keep in mind, starting your model, just concentrate on the theory, read enough literature, and come to know that how many variables should be included in your model. I am not talking about the number of variables, I am talking about the important variable, because if your literature is limited, your literature study is not vast and comprehensive, the possibility exists that you are missing some of the very important, crucial and fundamental variable that can lead the analysis, or you can say the result, to some of the problem. So never exclude an important variable when your model is based on some of the theoretical background. And one is ill-advised to drop variable from such model. When you have set your model, it will be an ill advice if someone asks you to exclude some of the important variable. These were 6 of the repercussions, the problems that a researcher has to face when he underfits the model. He excludes some of the most crucial and important variable. Now we go on the other extreme and we say that what happens if we include some of the an unimportant variable. Now I am using the word unimportant or unnecessary variable. Look at here, assume this one, that this is our true model. Now we are reversing the situation. In the previous example, our true model was in this type where there were more variable and we dropped one of them, the variable. Now what we are reversing the situation. If you look at here at this situation, you can see that this is a variable. This was our true model. True model, it has bivariate model that your cost is depending upon only the linear function of the output. X2 is the output here and yi is the cost here. And if you look at that, you were over efficient and you estimated this model. Again, I would like to repeat that we are assuming that this is our true model. When this is a trick like you do in the algebraic. For example, you suppose that x is equal to something, and ultimately you keep on solving the problem, and at the end you come with the true value of the x. This is based on such kind of phenomena that we are assuming here that our true model, because if we do not assume that what is our true model, it means we will be wildering in the desert and we will never convert towards the true. So we set a target, we set an idea, and then try to convert towards that idea, and we make some of the, you can say, the specification, some test, and ultimately we come to know that whether the model was true that we started or it was not true. So our assumption is that the model is true, that is the simple model, but over efficient. Do not mind that I am not saying you that you are over efficient. Over efficient means by mistakenly, by any reason, you include a new variable, and you can see that in addition to this variable you have also excluded this variable. So I don't know whether this is now important, and no, I just assume, I say that if this is an unimportant variable, it is you can say unnecessary variable, look what happens, and you can guess that what are the repercussions. The OL estimator of the incorrect model are all unbiased, not biased but unbiased. It means there is no problem. This is very interesting, and I think a trademark for you, that the exclusion of a variable doesn't affect the results of your model. And if you see the first repercussion, or you can say the first conclusion, is that the OLS estimate, definitely every time we are applying the OLS estimate, ordinary least square, the incorrect models are unbiased. Thanks God, it means at one side we are safe, because an inclusion of a variable doesn't make such sense. And what this means, if they are unbiased, I would like to write here that look at there, here we use the term alpha. These are the parameter, and the true parameters were beta 1 and beta 2. Look at that, the expected value of alpha 1 hat that we estimated is equal to true beta, that is here. So I can connect this one with this. I can say that this is the situation. The second is the other slope parameter is also unbiased. So what this means, this is the expected value of alpha 2 hat now is equal to beta 2. So this is your alpha 2 hat, and I am connecting it with true beta, because we have assumed that one, that is the true. And this is very interesting, that the expected value of alpha 3 hat, that is now here, and against this there is no beta 3. This is interesting, that against this there is the absence of beta 3. So it is equal to whatsoever beta 3, and you know here beta 3 is equal to 0. So the first conclusion is not a very, you can say, the dangerous conclusion, simple conclusion, that even the inclusion of an unnecessary variable, our model remains, our parameter remains unbiased. The second is the error variance sigma square is correctly estimated. It is another good thing. So you are now becoming happy, and at the end I will be telling that what on the basis of this you can draw and what you should not draw. The error variance of the error term is correctly specified. You can estimate it with correction, and you can say with precision, and there is no problem. The usual confidence interval and hypothesis procedure remain valid. If your variance is that is the, you can say, the measure of precision, that is the standard error, as you say, that from variance you get the standard deviation, and standard deviation is nothing but the precision of your parameter. So if it is, everything is correct, then there is no problem. Your hypothesis testing, your acceptance region will remain the same. It will not become larger, or it will not skew. So the inclusion or inference is here is that the confidence interval and hypothesis remain. One problem is a very small problem, you can say the ignorable problem, that has not a significant effect. That is the problem that alphas will be generally inefficient. Inefficient means they have not the minimum variance, and they have generally larger than those of the betas. As compared to these betas, these alpha hats has comparatively larger variance. That is not at this stage a huge issue. Now I know that you will be now happy that if I make comparison of this, and if you are sitting before me, and assuming that you are sitting before me, and I can make the questions, And I think and assume that your question are always right, because now you have learned the ideas, and these ideas are built, I have built the ideas systematically, and I went not too much fast, and that's why I presume that you have gotten the idea. If I compare the two model, and I think I need not to say what is the overfitting of the model and underfitting of the model. Overfitting, again, the inclusion of an extra variable. Inclusion of extra variable, and this is opposite to show, this is exclusion of an important variable. So what is this now comparison? If you come to know, our parameters are unbiased in case of overfitting. On the other hand, these are biased. This is, you can say, the just crux of the previous discussion, and this is, I need not to explain what is unbiased and what is biased. These are the consistent, our overfitting model estimates are consistent, but unfortunately these are inconsistent. I would like to give a small, you can say, the definition of consistent, that as the sample size become larger and larger, the estimates converge towards their true value, that is the, at this, our example is the betas. The error variance is correctly specified. On the other hand, if you see, the error variance is incorrectly specified. The conventional, the fourth difference is that the conventional hypothesis testing model are still valid. In this case, they are valid because you see that everything is, they are unbiased, they are consistent, and here you can say they are, the variance of the error term is correctly estimated. So on the other hand, usual hypothesis procedure become invalid. Why it becomes invalid? Because the variance are not measured with precision. The only problem with this at the left side, that is the overfitting of the model, is that if we include the superfluous variable, the estimated variance of the coefficients are a bit larger. Not too larger that we should worry about this. But, and now what is the conclusion from this discussion of the previous? What is the conclusion? And conclusion, I can see that you are lurking towards to choose a model that can exclude an extra variable. But you are becoming suspicious that there should be, if a small number of your independent variable, you are thinking that it is underfitting of the model, and it is very, very dangerous. So what is my conclusion? The best approach is to include only explanatory variables that on the theoretical backgrounds directly influence the dependent variable. ये ना हो कि अब आप इस बेस से ये नतीजा अखज़ करें कि जितने मर्जी चाहें इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल आप जो है वो include कर दें. This is not a good, it will be an ill-advised, and I think it will be an ill inference on your side if you pick up this approach. This is dangerous. What is the simplest approach? That you should include only those independent variable into the model that your theories allows, and they directly impact your dependent variable. Test of specification error. This is the more important. Every time I would like to go back. Multicollinearity, the first problem, the heteroscedasticity, the second problem, autocorrelation third, and now we are talking about the specification bias. Although we are talking this problem at the fourth number, but you should be, you can imagine and you can guess that if in the beginning our model is incorrect, I would like to say that if the map of the building is incorrect, whatsoever you may take on, it will never be a good building, or you can say a good exhibition of an architecture. So we do not deliberately look at the beginning, that we do not deliberately set out to commit such error. These are all the four errors of the estimation, and like the previous error, we deliberately do not do those. This is something unfortunately, or you can say unawarenessly, where we have lack of information or laziness, as we are lazy, being a Pakistani, every time pending things to the next day, do not going into the vast and intensive literature. So you should not be lazy in the sense that you should go for something beyond. That is more important. Very often specification bias arises due to, there are some reason that why specification rise, as you remember, autocorrelation, hetero and other, from our inability to formulate the model as precisely as possible. क्या हुआ, दो मॉडल देके इधर से वेरिएबल उठाए, इधर से वेरिएबल उसमें डाल दी. This is a very bad practice, and ultimately it leads towards the specification bias, and I need not to explain that what are the consequences of this. So when we are unable to formulate a very correct model, then there is the problem of specification error. The underlying theory is weak. Sometimes this is the situation that the theory on which you are working is not a very strong theory. For example, the law of demand is a very strong theory, but if you are going into some of the psychological theory, you will come to know that some theories are, you can say, the weak. If some theories are weak, so now you are in the haphazard, you are in the dilemma that whether some variable should be included as independent variable or it should be excluded. The next one is we do not have a right kind of data to test the model. This is another problem, that you know that you want to add some of the variable into the regression model, but at the same time you come to know that there is no data available. So now there is no choice with you, only you can discard it, and definitely it will create a specification bias. Now our question is, these were some of the reasons, three reasons: inability, that weakness of theory, and you can say the data unavailability. Now what is our question? How to detect specification bias? For example, if you come and you are very brave and bold and you say, sir, no, your model is correct. How I would like to see that whether you have misspecified or you have correctly specified. So now I would like to give you some of the hints, some of the formal and informal tests, and we will keep on discussing this. Because what is the purpose, that why we detect this? Why the you can say the doctor detect, first of all they try to detect the disease, because if the disease is correctly detected, then definitely there will be a good treatment. And if randomly as you go the quick you can say the doctors, they are giving you, just you complain that this is happening with your body, he or she is giving you a number of tablets randomly, and if there is fortunately some effect, you are lucky, and most of the time there are you can say the negative effect. But if you go to a competent doctor, first of all he will try to diagnose that what is the real problem. Blood test, urine test, and many other tests are available, and on the same basis we will keep on our problem in the same way. And if we come to know that what is the problem, remedial measures are always there. For example, if a doctor detects that you have the malaria, then there are many you can say the tablets, injections and other treatments available for this. Example is, if model is underfitted, just include the omitted variable and vice versa. कि हमें कैसे हम remedial measure करेंगे? If you find that the model is underfitted, some variable has been mistakenly excluded, immediately bring that variable into your model. And if you think that some extra free rider has come into your model, you should kick it out of the model. And this is, but first of all you should diagnose that who is the stranger in the model, and who is the important, who is the unimportant. Detecting the presence of unnecessary variable. So first we will see that how we find that there are some of the unnecessary variable. It means we are going that whether the model is overfitting. So look at this. If this is the situation, now this is the general form. Yi is depending upon a number of variables starting from x2 to xki. So it means, what is this? This is x1, x2 and ultimately xk. So we included all the variables into our data. So what is this? We do not really sure. हमने ये क्यों इसमें डाले? Because we were unaware of this, because we did not go through very detail in the theory. So first of all, we say that whether the variable k really belongs into the model. So now we are just hitting this mark. We say that all the other variables were necessary, and now we are suspecting it. Why? We are just assuming that this is the last variable we included into our model that looks suspicious. So what is this? How to test this? That whether it is important or not? Look at you. I can say that these are the biometric tests now. That whether it is a stranger or whether it is a person from your family. So in other words, you can say that this is the DNA test you are doing there. So one simple way is to see that definitely there will be some value of beta. You will estimate this model and there will be a value of the beta. And if you test its significance, you test that, for example, where this is beta k. Now you test, now it will be some numerical value, and against this there will be reported t values as well as the p values. I assume that this becomes significant. That as you know, you come to know how to test the t-test, test the significance of the parameter using the t-test. So I am assuming that you have tested this, and what this means that is to test the significance of this with the t-test. If it is significant, it is part of your family. It is part of the variable. But unfortunately, if it is insignificant, it is something else not related to you. So kindly kick it out and show him the door outside that this is your way to go. But suppose this was only the one variable, but suppose now you suspect that there are more strangers in your family. So what is this? For example, I say that beta, these are x3 and x4. I am just supposing that you suspect that x3 and x4 are you are going to test whether they belong to your family or not. So nothing different. You will also test their significance, but there is another test that is called the F test, that will show you that whether these are part of this same procedure as the t-test. The only difference between the t-test and the f-test is in t-test you can just test the significance of only one parameter, but if when there is f-test, you can do many of the test the significance of many of the variable simultaneously. So sometimes I think that I should lash out on the f-test right now, but I am deliberately pending it, and I think in the last lecture I will be giving you some of the you can say the introduction to some of the things that I have in mind, that these are the small things but still important. Thus, detecting the presence of an irrelevant variable or variable is not a difficult task. Very simple. You can detect it. Means if you overfit the model, it is not very problematic, because if you see that whether this variable is related to your model or not, just test its coefficient, and if it is significant, let it in your model, and if it becomes insignificant, then you have to exclude this. So it is very simple. Now, test of specification wise, now it is important, and we are going towards the omitted variable. So what is this omitted variable? Now this is the underfitting of the model, and I will immediately would like to bring your attention towards the previous, and you saw that when there is underfitting of the model, your parameters are biased, inconsistent, variance are large, hypothesis testing, conventional hypothesis testing becomes, you can say, the invalid. So now you should be more careful about this, that if some of the important variable is excluded, what happens there? We are not sure of that the model is true. This is the very basic point. No one knows that which model is true. Ultimately, we have to test this, that whether it is true or whether it is not true, on the basis of theory and prior empirical work. Every time I am saying that I think you are from the project management, or you can maybe from finance management, or you can say the marketing. Every time there are theories. For example, if I go to the marketing, there is a theory that as you increase the expenditure on the advertisement, your sales and revenue may increase. There is a link between the advertisement expenditure and others. On the other side, there is the sales. Similarly, if you are the project manager, you know that how the cost increases when you include some of the new facilities into your, you can say, the project, and whatsoever the reason is. So what is this? Again and again, I never feel shy and I never tired of, because I want that you should become a good researcher and good student, and the only way is hard working, and there is no shortcut to success. The simple way is go to more and more detail into the theory. The theory is because if you will rush up with the variable, just every variable you are putting in your model, the computer will, the EVUs will estimate it, but it will create problem for you. So now we are, although the inclusion of the variable is also should not be there, but it is not as dangerous at the exclusion of the variable. So what is this? On the theory and empirical work, we develop a model. हमें true model का कभी भी पता नहीं होता. We develop this on our previous knowledge and the theoretical basis. The more theoretically you are sound, the more the chances and the probability that you are going to get a good model of this. Then if when you do the model, and it should be related to your subject under study, because one model doesn't fit all the students. What the students doing, unfortunately, that they are copying the model from here and there, but when their phenomena, their objective of research are different, so they can't proceed with the same phenomena. The subject then subject the model to empirical testing. When we take the model, we empirically test this. After we obtain the result, now the post-mortem start. Autopsy starts, and now you can say post-mortem each and everything, and there are post-mortem measures. आपके पास जो है वो चाकू छुरियां जो है वो मौजूद हैं, that you will help you to see that whether your model was correctly specified. So what this, after getting the results, you start the post-mortem. This is the very important. This is not the post-mortem of the dead body. This is the post-mortem of your results. Keeping in mind how, on the basis of keeping in mind the criteria of a good model, I would like to draw your attention way back when we started that what is the criteria for a good model. So you will be testing, you will be making all this on the basis of the, you can say, the criteria of a good model. And what are the measures? These are the T statistics. You will be looking at whether it is significant or it is insignificant. The standard error, these are now the tools in which you can test that whether your model is reliable or not. And definitely you will be thinking about that there should be small standard error. There is another tool that is on your hand, that is the adjusted R-square. You know you want the maximum value of the adjusted R-square, and if this is a positive sign and if it has a higher value, you are becoming very happy. And D statistics is here, Durbin-Watson statistics, that shows that whether there is autocorrelation or no problem. And you know what is its criteria. When it is near to 2, you become happy. These are only, I have just reported the 4 tools. You have more than these tools, as we will be discussing in the next lecture, that what are another criteria, archaic information, Schwartz information criteria. They are further, you can say, the complements to this approach. But at this stage, all the software are reporting these values, and these help you in post-mortem your results. If these diagnostic tests are reasonably good, what is good? T statistics significant, standard error minimum, adjusted R-square higher, and these statistics hovering around 2, then you can say we proclaim the chosen model is a fair representation of reality, that it represents the reality and it is very near to, and vice versa. And unfortunately, all your indicators are showing a pessimistic picture. You should come to know that there is something wrong with your model. Doing a test of specification bias. So going further, I would like to give you the summary of this lecture, and I hope that we will start from the next lecture by the formal methods that we will study. So from where we started from the specification bias. If you remember, 1 hour before we started the specification bias. First of all, I would like to clear that what is why we are discussing it at the number 4, but it is very important, as I would like to repeat my example, that if the map of your building is not a well and good design, then you can say that there is a problem in the building whatsoever. You bring the you can say the very good tiles, very good, you can say the architect person and masons, and everything is okay, but in the beginning, that is the model specification. If it is something problematic, whatsoever measure you are taking, you are not going to take this. So never think this, that we have studied it on the 4th number, and it is in this problem, it's you can say the importance is at number 4. It is at the number first. First of all, you would have to specify this. Why we discussed it at later stage? The reason was that we want to give you some of the simplification about the variable. Now it is about the whole model. So we set the model criteria, that what we come to know that what a good model, and you know the criteria, that the results should be data admissible, they should be logical according to the theory, and they should fulfill the criteria, and they should be consistent. And the more important is that your model cannot be improved. If you are sitting with before me and you are telling me that, sir, this is the very good model, and immediately a new person or student arrives and he or she tells me that this model has more good property than your model, then your model is not you can say a good model. So your model should not be improved by any in the relevant context. So what we started the specification bias is a very critical thing. Our purpose was to see that what kind of specification bias we can encounter. There are many, but we studies in detail only the two specification. The first was that overfitting of the model, that you include into your model some of the unnecessary variables, stranger, and you saw that overfitting of the model doesn't create huge consequences for your model, because your OLS estimate are consistent, they are unbiased, and they are, you can say, the best, they have the minimum variance. So hypothesis testing and other criteria remains valid. On the other hand, we said that if there is underfitting, if we omit a variable that is very important, then what happens to this? And we came to know there is a very, very dangerous situation when we are not able to capture all the important variable. So what happens? Our OL estimator becomes biased, inconsistent, and they are no more below, or you can say the best in situation. If we compare both of the situation, you will lurking towards, you will be thinking, and you are inclined towards now that you think that the overfitting of the model is less dangerous. Although it is less dangerous, but at the same time I am not giving you the advice that rush come up with the more variable. Why? Because the more entrance of your variable, the adjusted R square will be giving something dangerous, and it will be difficult to justify, because if you add the more unnecessary variable, adjusted R square penalizes and its value decreases. Then we started that how to detect. Detection is very, very important, because unless and until you detect the situation, you are unable to give the remedial measure. So we talked about that how to detect the extra variable or overfitting of the model. Overfitting of the model is to see very simple, that only test all the coefficient that are attached to the variable. If they are significant, then assume that the model, the variable is part of your model. But if it is insignificant, think about this, that there is something wrong, and if it is not significant, let it out of the model. Then we just started that if there is underfitting of the model, omitted of the model, we say that there are many tests we can use to see whether there is a problem or not. In other words, I am saying that we can make the post-mortem of this. And what is this, the post-mortem? Every time when you will be estimating your the results, you will come to know that there are some helping measure. For example, t-statistics, standard error, R-square, and you can say the d-statistics. If these are showing a positive indicator, you should jump in the air, you should enjoy, make hue and cry, and come and say that your model is very good, and you can say that you are satisfied. But unfortunately, and most of the time it happens that the results, all the indicators are not showing a positive sign. Most of the time they are showing negative, but at the same time, need not to worry, there are remedial measures. So I would like to conclude right there. See you in the next lecture. So take care, and Allah Hafiz.